Here, a short overview.
We are a small country in Latin America. We are between Peru and Colombia. Another fun fact is the Galapagos Islands are also from Ecuador, which is a very important destination, let's say, for science also due to the theory of evolution being developed there. Besides that, we have also a lot of volcanoes, both active and inactive volcanoes.
Isn't that dangerous?
I guess it is. I've experienced already 3 eruptions. It's always important, I think, to have a guide. Many people in Ecuador doesn't speak really English, so a guide will also always help you to connect more with the natives as well. Don't get lost in the nature or with the locals or in the culture.
Welcome, listeners, to the podcast Global Communicator. Don't believe tourists, we ask the locals.
Global Communicator, the podcast.
Hey Juan Pablo.
Hi Marco, how are you
Nice
doing?
to meet you.
Same to you. Finally we meet in person.
Exactly, finally we meet in person, which is already a good start for our podcast. So listeners, once again, I am happy to meet someone international here in Innsbruck and to speak in our podcast Global Communicator about his home country, Ecuador. So Juan Pablo, it's crazy, our podcast is already really huge. You told me in advance that you're a bit nervous, which I totally understand. It's mind-blowing that we have, in average, over 10,000 listeners all the time. So thanks to you, listeners, for that. And today I have a next highlight because we are going to the equator, to Ecuador. So Juan Pablo, can you give our listeners a short overview about your home country?
Yeah, of course. We are a small country in Latin America, relative to other countries. Like Ecuador, I believe, is bigger than Austria still. We have fair. We have still 17 million people, more or less. We are between Peru and Colombia. Relatively to both, we are a really small country. Another fun fact is the Galapagos Islands are also from Ecuador, which is a very important destination, let's say, for science also due to the theory of evolution being developed there. And also
That's actually
beautiful.
a very fun fact because I was making some research in advance and I was very surprised that it's the case that Galapagos Islands are also part of Ecuador.
Besides that, we have also a lot of volcanoes, both active and inactive volcanoes. And we live in the middle of them as well. Yeah, we have also different climates. We have coastal region, mountain region, and also the rainforests, plus the Galapagos Islands. So it's a country that, despite being small, it's super easy to travel very shortly to different kind of environments and see different kind of things.
You said you live between the volcanoes. Isn't that dangerous?
I guess it is. I've experienced already 3 eruptions. Once we woke up in 1999, I think, or 2000 something, and there was just a giant cloud of ashes in the sky.
No way.
Yes. Luckily, there was no major damage. It was just ashes raining for a couple of days. There was also a active volcano throwing lava and everything, very close to a touristic attraction from Ecuador. In some point, you get used to it, I guess, but still something amazing when you see it.
Well, you already say it's close to a tourist spot. So where is it? And do you have any volcanoes in mind which people have to see?
This tourist spot was in Baños, that is called. It comes from Baños de Agua Santa, which means holy water baths, basically. And it's a volcano that used to be active. I think now it's just resting more. But besides that, I don't think there's any dangerous volcano close to any of the very highlights of the tourist spots in Ecuador.
Let's continue with that. Let's speak a bit about cool spots where people have to go when they are in Ecuador and how they should travel through Ecuador. Do you have any places in mind which are really important to see?
Ecuador has many different things to see. As I say, depends a lot on what you want to do. We have different things if you are interested in culture. Have many different indigenous nationalities, for example, natives that were there before the colonization of the country. So you can explore the languages, you can explore the different cultures, the different foods. If you are more into sports or nature, you can definitely do some hikes. You can go to the coastal region to swim, to even surf sometimes. We have deserts, you can go snorkeling, the Galapagos Islands. So really depends on what you are into. There's for sure something for everyone.
Yeah, let's say we are nature guys, so let's give our listeners really some hints, like city names or places to go. Galapagos Islands, okay, that's well known and good to know that we definitely have to see that. But what else?
I would suggest some place that is probably not the most known is my hometown called Ibarra.
Colibara.
Ibarra.
Ibarra.
Yeah, and it's in the province of Imbabura, which is the name of the main volcano there. And there you have multiple hikes in the mountains. It's called the province of the lakes also because you have a lot of lakes everywhere. So it's very fun to walk around the lakes and just explore the landscapes. There I would suggest, as in all in Ecuador, probably go with a guide because we don't have the infrastructure as in Austria to not get lost while you are doing a hike. And being in Ecuador is not as expensive to actually hire a guide. So I would deeply suggest to take one to actually enjoy and just let your mind free in the nature, so to say.
Okay, listeners, so write down on your bucket list and to your do list in Ecuador, get a guide if you go around in Ecuador, right?
Yeah, also because of the language, many people in Ecuador doesn't speak really English, so a guide will also always help you to connect more with the natives as well. And improve your experience, so you can move easier, you can understand probably the things easier, and yeah, in general, don't get lost in the nature or with the locals or in the culture. It's always important, I think, to have a guide.
Okay, good to know. Because especially we Europeans love to travel by our own, get prepared and just get around the country. But here it's very important to have a guide, you say, right? Is it also connected because of danger? Because, well, if people think about Latin America, we often think also about robberies or things like that. Is that true?
It's definitely more dangerous, I would say, than Europe, but it's easily avoidable, I would say. If you are always looking at your surroundings and not allowing anything suspicious to happen near you, so to say, also you avoid like the dangerous places or have the right attitude, in general, you would be safe. I've never been robbed, for example, in Ecuador. So it really depends on your attitude, a little bit of luck also. but yeah, in general, the thing is that the bad news always arrive earlier and faster than the good news from other countries.
So true. Yeah.
So that's why Latin America maybe sometimes sounds super dangerous when it really is. It is more dangerous, of course, but it's completely livable and enjoyable as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is. And well, we are already at securities, but before we have been at secret spots, so at spots at general. And now I want to ask you, is there a secret spot in your mind which you can't directly find on Google?
There are many secret spots depending on where you're looking for. In the jungle, in the rainforest, there are many different places. I particularly like one that is called Puyo. Yes, that I actually found out these secret spots because of a local there, where you can take really nice pictures like in the sunset in front of the river. I don't remember exactly the name because it was a native name. But I think if you look Puyo, it's easier to find it than just looking Ecuador in general. So if you can find in Puyo, or for example in my hometown, there are also many secret spots like volcanoes and lagoons and lakes that you could really visit, and they are really nice for making for nice Instagram pictures and in general have a good time.
Yeah, just enjoying time. Not Instagram is everything or social medias. But that's great. That's already good suggestion. And that's why we ask locals, because you have the input from your hometown and from your own experience. That's amazing. What do you mean with native language?
There are many native languages, and specifically 3 are recognized for Ecuador as like the more general languages. So it's Quechua, Shuar, that are the native languages, more broadly spread. And Spanish, of course, is the general language spoken in Ecuador. Most people would speak Spanish, sadly not English. So if you don't really have a basic knowledge of Spanish, I would strongly recommend to learn it before, or to go with someone that knows it, or with a guide.
Okay, if you want to have the full experience, you need to speak Spanish there, right?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. Okay, amazing. I'm actually a bit afraid that I'm out of the video because I checked before the camera when you have been my model here, and now I'm standing there. I'm not sure if I'm still in the camera, but I hope so. So that's also for all listeners on Spotify. Remember, we are a video podcast. You also can see us in live on the screen if you want on YouTube, or also on Spotify. We have a video added to our podcast. So Juan Pablo, thanks for the first overall and everything. When people go to Ecuador, you already mentioned, okay, it's helpful to take a guide. You said there are a lot of volcanoes. There are also some dangerous places, but you should be safe more or less on the most places. And that Spanish is very important. Yeah, okay. But what are perfect spots to go to the nature?
As I say, like hiking into the mountains, as the mountains there are way higher. Let's say, for example, the main city, the capital of Ecuador, Quito, is located at 2,800 meters above sea level, already the city, and it's still surrounded by volcanoes. Yeah. So going up in the mountains and standing literally above the clouds can be a super rewarding experience and really nice to actually see. You can, of course, see different animals, different vegetation, which is always interesting to me. For example, there's this lake close to my hometown, Ibarra, that is called Cuicocha. Which means like the lake of the guinea pigs. And it's basically a hike that you can do around. This lake is located in the crater of a volcano, and you can see very different nature there. It's really nice, really relaxing. It takes around 5 hours, so it's not that long, and it's really easy to pull out, even for someone that is not really that sporty. But still a nice experience for someone that is sporty.
I would also say that's a secret spot for me. It sounds really, really interesting. But you already said what I want to hear, actually. The altitude of Ecuador. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't take the altitude sickness easily or lightly because the capital, even in the airport, I believe they have oxygen masks for people that are very sensitive to it. So I would probably, it's not dangerous, but for sure I wouldn't do a very heavy physical activity in the first 3 days maybe. So let the body get accustomed to the different altitude, and then you can start pushing a little bit your limits. Even for me that I come once a year and I haven't left the country that long ago, it takes time to get used to the altitude again.
Okay. So for you now we are quite deep in the altitude, right? Even if we are in the Alps in Tyrol, Austria, especially, guys, I didn't mention yet, we are standing here at the SOVI, at the Economics University of Innsbruck, and the top floor, and behind us is the North Chain. So really nice view, but we can also feel the climate change because it's beginning of March and you are standing here with a t-shirt, so really crazy, and I just with a small pullover. So, well, very warm today, was already over 20 degrees, right? Yeah, so our altitude is nothing for you. But there's a fun fact which I really like about you, that you told me in advance that you don't like to hike that much, right? Yes. And even if you're born at the altitude over 2,000 meters, crazy. So cool fun fact. But do people hike there a lot, like here in Austria, or not?
I would definitely say that it peaked in the last years. At least when I was young, I don't remember that many people hiking. Yeah. Now maybe it's like the crisis of the middle age that a lot of people start to hike. But I see many people getting this nice hobby because it's actually nice to being able to go up mountains. Personally, I prefer a railway or a cable car. Okay. But for sure, I can understand why people really like it.
Also, another fun fact, we thought about to go up in a mountain today and make the podcast because Ecuador would be a perfect connection, but we decided to stay down because you prefer the cable cars. Yeah. But yeah, you already mentioned also a thing which would be my next question. I'm curious, what are the biggest difference in your mind between Central Europeans and guys from back at home in Ecuador?
It's difficult to say. I think Central Europeans are very, very kind from upfront, but they are very difficult to become friends with. Like, it takes a lot of time and to gain a lot of trust. While in Ecuador, they can be a little bit more rough around the edges at the beginning, despite being also very nice at the same point. But it's very, very easy to make friendships there. You can easily go for 6 months and end up with 20 places you can stay in the way back. So, yeah, I have, for example, people that I've talked a couple of times in Ecuador, and now that they live also in Europe, I can go and crash at their place in other countries as well. So that's maybe different, that the friendship here is harder to obtain, but maybe it's more deep in the friendship. Mm-hmm. In Ecuador, it's easier to obtain many friends, but probably it takes even more work to actually have a very strong connection with someone.
Okay, but did I understand it right? It's also rough to get in contact in Ecuador at the beginning?
The thing is, the culture is very shocking for many people, um, because we come up very strong. People describe us as very warm. So, at some point I heard like it's maybe a little bit too warm for someone that is not used to it. So, can be a little bit pushing for people that are not used to it. For example, I myself am not a huge fan of how is it, physical touch. So even I got sometimes a little bit thrown away from like how warm Ecuadorians are, but they can be more on the rough side on that in that regard.
Okay, that's actually a big surprising thing. Didn't expect that. Interesting. But so if someone travels there, it's getting, well, after a while, easy to get in contact with if you speak Spanish, obviously, as we learned already. But, well, another big thing is, so we think that Ecuadorians are warm, but we also think there's great food. So can you give our listeners a few meals which are your favorite, and or what's the kitchen like there in Ecuador?
It's a very rough question. Really depends on the region. In the coastal region, we have a lot of kitchen based on like seafood, and like in this kind of like banana kind of, but it's for food. It's not really sweet. In the mountain region, we have more like about grains and meat, and in the rainforest is a little bit weirder food, but it's also like fish and a lot of vegetables and grains as well. So from the coastal region, I would highly suggest a dish that is called a soup. It's called an encebollado, which is ranked one of the best soups in the world, at least top 50, I think. From the mountain region, I would suggest probably fritada, which is from around my region, but in general, the whole mountain region. Is basically fried pork, and is normally served with different kind of corns, fresh corn. We have many types of corns, potatoes as well. And from the rainforest region, probably there are different types of fish, and I'm not really familiar with them, but they are also, you can even get piranha, for example. And I would be totally down for trying that.
Well, that's already a good overview, but can we take also the food overview about Ecuador? Like you made it in 3 chapters, like there is the coast side, there is the mountain side, and the rainforest side. Would you also subscribe Ecuador in these words, in these 3 regions?
Yeah, plus Galapagos, that is also has their own identity as well. Each region is extremely different from each other, despite being a small country. Like someone from the mountain region have extreme difference in like character that someone from the coastal region and someone from the rainforest. We get along, of course, but we do have many differences, both in humor, entertainment, music that we like. So it's very defined. So yeah, it's a country that you would really take some time to know the different cultures, the different people, the different food, the different landscapes. So it would take some time to know the country in depth, at least.
And you can't say, if you have been in the coastal side, that you have been in Ecuador. You have to experience whole Ecuador, all 3 parts, which we just spoke about.
Definitely, but it's also not that hard. For example, going from the capital to a coastal city could take like 5 hours by car. So it's not really that hard to move around by car or by bus. And it's a relatively small country, but still takes some time to visit from north to south and to east to west.
Yeah, small country, and it takes time to get used to the altitude. If you're in the mountains, you're not traveling long from the coast side to the mountains, but then you have to stay there a few days to get used to the altitude, as we learned already, right?
Yeah, for sure. And especially if you want to take on a challenge like climbing the Chimborazo, which is probably, I think, the farthest away point from the middle of the earth. So for sure you will have altitude sickness there as well. So you need some preparation for do physical activity in the mountains, especially after coming after the coastal region.
Yeah, for sure. I'm pretty sure about that. Well, thanks a lot about that. So we already had in the beginning we spoke a bit about language, then the indigenous languages. So you mentioned also in our preparation that you have a mix between Spanish and your indigenous language. So can you give our listeners a few words in this indigenous language, and do we need to learn a bit in Vietnamese?
I would say that is at least a fun thing to learn, because it's an easier way to understand Ecuadorian Spanish. We use a mixture of Quechua and Spanish, which is different from the Quechua from Peru. They are similar languages but different, and also in between each other. Like one word that we use a lot is for brother. We use ñaño. Ñaño with the two Spanish ends.
Yeah.
We use, for example, for father, taita. We also use expressions that I find super funny that not all languages or any other language has. For example, if something is really hot and you get surprised by how hot it is, you can say arraray. If it's too cold and you're also surprised by how cold it is, you say achachay.
Okay.
Or
arraray, achachay.
Yeah.
Und taita.
And taita
Is dead.
That, yeah.
That's pretty cool because like my South Tyrolean friends, they say teta, and that's quite similar to teta, yeah. Funny, but cool that it's already a few words. Is there another one which you want to add?
There's one that is very important, that is yapa. And it's like the extra product that you get when you buy something. You can ask for the yapa, and they would probably give you, especially in markets, they can give you an additional thing for, like, I don't know, if you buy apples, they can give you a couple of pears. Or if you buy, I don't know, herbs, they can give you more herbs. So that's the yapa. It's like the additional product that you get for paying the same, basically.
Very important to remember. But when we are in the shop, I nearly forgot about this question about price level and how do we pay there? Do we pay with cash or with card? How is it in Ecuador?
So first of all, it's important to know that Ecuador uses the dollar, the American dollar. So it's not necessarily the cheapest country in Latin America, but it's probably the easier one to get the currency. Normally, we don't use that much of credit card or debit card. It's important to have cash, and within cash, it's important to have small bills and coins. You, for example, cannot buy something that costs $1 with a $20 bill because you would get frowned upon probably by the owner of the store. They would probably give you the money back or just don't sell the thing. But if you actually want to buy or not pay additionally of what it costs, it's good to have small money.
For example, it costs $1 and I pay with 20. They say, okay, I don't want to sell my product.
Yeah, because they don't have a way to give you back the money. And they also don't want to charge you $20 for a piece of gum, for example.
That's very funny. Okay, cool. So, well, more or less, I think we spoke about many things and people already have a small preparation if they go to Ecuador and if they are planning to make a trip there. Is there anything what you want to add to the podcast, what people definitely have to know?
I will highly suggest to ask if you know some Ecuadorian or find some Ecuadorian online. We all be glad to talk about our country and probably prepare you more specifically to the places that you are going to go. Yeah, I would always suggest to be really well informed so you don't miss the good things and also you don't experience the likely bad things or probable bad things that could happen. So just so you make your experience as fun as it can get.
That's a very good end. And Juan Pablo, once again, thanks for your time. Listeners, thanks for listening. And if you have any questions to Juan Pablo, don't hesitate to write any comments or text us on Instagram, on our Instagram channel. And Juan Pablo or I try to answer your questions, right?
Yeah, gladly. I will be for sure pending to the comments and in both Instagram and YouTube. If you also feel to reach after for me for any questions or further questions, I can either reply to you or contact you with someone that can.
Perfect. Very, very nice from your side. And listeners, thanks again. And hopefully see you next month again with a new episode on Global Communicator. Bye. Thanks for listening. And if you like the podcast, please share it and like it. I'm happy for any comment. And follow us on Instagram or on any listening app. I'm happy to hear from you and hopefully see you soon in the next episode. Bye bye.